Alright, today I'm going to be hacking a new camera that was sent to me by Charlie Schwartz. This is a Flip Ultra HD little camcorder, and I purchased one for myself, and I've already figured out the hack on it, and Charlie sent me two to do for him. These have an internal memory only. You can't put an external memory source like an SD card in there, but they will hold 2 hours of video on the internal memory, and just from the little testing that I've done with it, the videos look really pretty good. I think it's 720p. Now the camera that I bought, even though both cameras look exactly alike in every aspect, is two different versions. The one that I have is a let me take this battery cover off and I'll show you, or at least where I can see. This one is a Flip Ultra HD second generation model U2120B, and on the ones that Charlie sent me, I believe it just says Flip Ultra HD model U2120. So they're different generation cameras, and I had already figured out the hack on mine, which is the second generation, and so I opened Charlie's up to see if the hack would be the same, and fortunately it is. So if you have the U2120 or the 2120B second generation, the hack on both of those cameras is going to be exactly the same. Alright, so go ahead and close mine back up here and get it out of the way. I'll be hacking Charlie's. The only difference on his is he doesn't want an external microphone with it, but I will show you the locations that you can solder your wires to in there in order to get an external microphone source if you want it. Alright, so the first thing you're going to need to do is just to remove the battery door cover. And there's a slide switch on the bottom. Open that, slide it down, take that cover off. The camera can be a little bit difficult to get apart, because once we got that battery cover door off, you'll see two screws, one on each corner at the bottom. And take those out, but you're going to need to take off this little trim piece cover up here above the lens, and it's held in place with some double-sided tape, and it's pretty tough. You have to use a little tool to get in right between the black trim piece and this chrome, somewhere along there, and start prying that up. Now this one's been removed already once before, so it's not too terribly bad, and no, I didn't scratch the camera up, it was already that way, but just be aware that you may do a little bit of cosmetic damage to your camera trying to do this. But I just take a little fine tip pocket knife and kind of start working up under that edge, and then you'll have to work this loose all the way across to get that tape to come loose, and then that cover can be removed. Alright, so now we see that we've got two other screws at the top that we need to remove, and so I'm going to go ahead and get those out of there. All of these screws are the same length. Alright, get the two at the bottom. Get these screws come out. Alright, so now I've got the 4 screws out that are holding your back piece on here, where your menu buttons and stuff are at. I may need to back it just a little bit here, get a little better angle with my camera. Alright, but then once you've got those 4 screws out, turn your camera over to face this way, and you can start by trying to lift up the bottom edge of this just to get it to start coming loose, and then along this right hand side we're going to need to kind of work up along that edge to try to pop loose a couple little catches that are there. And then on this left hand side there's double-sided tape that goes all up along this edge to hold that in place, and that can be a little bit tough to work loose, but once you get that to come loose from there, you can see if I can get this one. It's already been taken apart once. Alright, so I've got that to come loose. Like I said, there's double-sided tape along this side here that keeps that secured in place. Alright, once you get that lifted up, don't pull out too far because there's a ribbon that we need to disconnect that's down in here, and just lift up that latch carefully, and then you can take that ribbon loose and remove the cover that's got the menu buttons on it. Alright, now we need to remove 4 screws on this motherboard in order to get in here so we can do our hack. And you'll see one here toward the bottom by this ribbon connector, and one right here. There's one above the LCD screen, and then there's one over here on the right hand side of the LCD screen. So we'll have to flip that LCD screen over to be able to get that screw out on the right side. So I'm going to go ahead and take these other 3 out first. Get that screw out of there. This one above the LCD screen. And now to get that LCD screen down where we can get that other screw on the right, need to get in here with a little sharp object. You notice the white band that goes all the way around the LCD screen. Get in between it and the black plastic holder and get that LCD screen to start coming up out of that holder. And now you can rotate it down. Be careful with it so you don't tear up your ribbon. And now we can remove that one screw that's left on this right hand side. Okay, got that out. And now go ahead and push your LCD screen back down into the holder so it will hold it there for you and won't tear anything up. Alright, on the left hand side there's an HDMI port that comes through this little chrome plastic piece on the side. So you need to kind of work that motherboard over to the right hand side to get that HDMI connector to come up, and then at the top you can just kind of lift up on the green motherboard and start working it up out of there because you'll be pulling your battery contacts through this plastic housing. Alright, once you got that done, there's 2 white block connectors over here that we need to disconnect. You don't have very much wiring in here to gain a lot of space, so just start working those connectors loose, and you want to make sure you keep reference of which one goes where so you know which way to connect them back and put our camera back together. See if I can get in here and get this other block disconnected. There. Alright, so we've got our motherboard taken out of the case. Alright, so I'm going to set that to the side. All of our hack locations are going to be on the back side of this motherboard. And be careful here, this is your lens. You know, you don't want to do any damage, or try not to get any dust, dirt and stuff in there. Alright, so our hack locations for if you're going to run external power, which I would suggest you do, this is our battery positive post, and the one on the right is battery negative post. It's a little bit difficult, or at least it was for me, to get the wire soldered on there for my externals, because this is such a large piece of metal. It acts like a huge heat sink. So when you put your solder iron to it, it tends to not want to do very well. But right at the base of each of these tabs is where I soldered my external wires. Alright, and I'm routing all of my wires toward the center and going down, and going to exit pretty close to the center of this board. Alright, now for our power button. Your power button, of course, is this tactile switch up here, momentary switch, and at the base of it you'll see two pins that are soldered to the board. The one at the top is going to be for power, and the one at the bottom, or to the left in this configuration, the one to the left is going to be for your power common. Okay. Now, if you want to add an external microphone to this camera, you'll see a blue and a red wire right here. This is a speaker microphone combination on this camera, and what I did with mine is just to make it a little bit easier to solder my wires on, I just desoldered this microphone speaker, and these wires are glued in place with some hot glue, so you'll need to remove that, and then you can solder on your positive and negative wire for your external microphone there. And like I said, I'm running I ran my wires across the top of the lens here, and then down this side, so I could keep everything toward the center. Alright, so that's our external locations and our power switch locations. Alright, for your video button, the hack on it, I actually found two different places you could do it. The first one was to try to solder to the pins across the bottom of this ribbon connector block here. And if you want to do that, you can. You would start from the the right hand side, and go to the fourth pin over and solder to that, and that would be for your shutter common. And then the ninth one over to the left, starting at the right, and go 9 over, that would be for your shutter. Okay, but the easier way that I found is to and that way it keeps all your wires on the same side of the board, is to solder to these little components that are on the board here. And I'm not saying this is going to be easy, but it's easier than trying to solder to the ribbon connector pins. You'll notice a row of little components across this way, and then there's 4 beneath them. For your shutter wire, you would use the top one here, and you're going to need to solder your wire to the inside of that component, okay, to the left side. So you're going to have your wire pre-tinned, and just a very, very small amount of exposed wire there. Put a little bit of soldering paste on that component, and if you want to, you can pre-tin it, but then you can solder to the left side of this little top component right here. And I'm hoping you can see exactly what I'm talking about. See if I can get this thing to focus in. kind of hard for it to focus sometimes, but it's going to be not the bottom one, but the next one up and to the left side of it. Alright, that's your shutter. Okay, then if you go to the row of components above that, starting at the right, go 3 over and solder to the top of that third component, and that's going to be your shutter common. Okay, so that's the hack locations on the Flip Ultra HD, the U2120 I believe, and the 2120B version 2. Like I said, I'm keeping all of my wires coming over towards the center of the board. Of course, these two here, you know, you just route them across and exit everything close to the center. And then what I did on mine, and I'll show you that, take this battery cover off. On the plastic housing, I just used a knife and trimmed out an area there so that the wires didn't get pinched, and also a corresponding location on the battery compartment door, and that way when you put this back together, it doesn't cause any damage to your wires. Okay, and you can still put your battery cover back on. And I'll be mounting a servo right below the menu pad here on mine. I think I'm going to do the same thing with Charlie's cameras. Like I said, you'll need 2 cameras basically to use, so that whenever you go to the field and check your camera, you can just be able to disconnect the camera from your control board and swap the second camera in there. That way you can bring your camera home, because the only way you can get the videos off of it is it's got a USB connector here that flips out, and you connect that to a USB on your computer, and then you can upload your videos. Alright, so that's the hack on it. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'll connect it up to a control board and show you, or once I get Charlie's camera hacked here, should have enough wire length that we'll come back and I'll show you that the hack works on the camera. Alright, so now that I've got my camera hacked, I've already tested the externals to make sure that we're getting a good voltage reading there, and we are. So to power the camera on, we take our power and power common wires, and the camera is powered on. Take our shutter and shutter common and briefly touch those together, and we are now recording video. Okay. Alright, so we know our hack is working. So the next thing I'm going to do is connect it to a control board and get a program worked up. Alright, I've got just a little sample program worked up with the Game Watcher camera control board, and I'm going to power the board on. Initially the camera will turn on for a few seconds just as a test to show that the camera is working, and then it will go off. Walk test will go through, and I have that shortened for just a few seconds here, so we'll have to sit and wait 30 seconds. Alright, so walk test is ending, and now if I activate motion, the camera powers up and it starts taking video. This camera is pretty darn quick. It's right at 2 seconds from power up till it's able to start taking video, and I have it set to take about a 32-second video clip. I'm going to let that run through, and then the camera will stay powered up for a short amount of time, waiting for further motion activation. If there is further motion, then it will automatically start taking another 32-second video clip. So we're at 32 now. Alright, so the camera has stopped taking video, but it is still on, so if I activate the board again, it starts taking another 32-second video clip. Alright, once that is finished, then the camera, if it's no further motion, then it will power the camera off after about 20 seconds or so. Charles wants this set up for daytime only video. He's not going to be putting any lights with it. But I tested it inside a dark closet with just a small flashlight, and it seems to pick up light really well in the dark. So it's possible that it could be used for day and night video, and I've got one of my own, and that's probably what I'm going to set it up to do. I've also added an external microphone source with mine so I can have audio with it. Alright, so the camera just powered off. So just wanted to show you that the camera is working with our hack, and it's working with a control board. I think it's going to be a pretty nice little camera. Like I said, the only thing is you'd have to have two of them so you can, you know, swap one camera out and take it with you to get your videos off of it, or possibly, you know, take a laptop or something out in the field with you and upload your videos that way. Alright, so I'm going to include a couple of test videos, one outdoors during the day and one outdoors during the night, just to give you an idea of the video quality of this camera. Alright, so this is an outdoor test at night with the Flip Ultra HD. I'm just using a small Cree flashlight that operates on a single AA battery. So, you know, you can see that if you had a better light source, a brighter LED array, then I think the camera would actually do pretty well. Especially for relative close-ups, you know, 10 to 15 feet or so. Even with a brighter light, it would probably do a lot better. Alright, so this is a test video with the Flip Ultra HD camera. Get a little test footage here and see how the videos look. Alright guys, so that's the hack on the Flip Ultra HD. Two different versions that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, and seems to be working really well. So hope this helps you out, and thanks for watching.